Hello, welcome back to another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. Thanks for joining me for yet another installment of great new music, great reissues, and going through this week's new releases. We are on June 7th, 2024. Year's half over almost, and a little more than 6 months till Christmas, so start your shopping. All right. Hope you're enjoying a little bit of the post Memorial Day summer and school's winding down for a lot of kids. And so we got some great new music today. Not a huge week, but there's a fair amount, I would say. So anyway, let's get started. I think the big new release this week, you can kind of see the green here. This is going to be one probably more for the kids, but Brat. Brat, the new album by Charli XCX. Sort of a pop songstress, kind of slightly edgy, open for Taylor Swift. Is on tour with Troye Sivan right now. I believe this is the indie exclusive version on red vinyl. I think it's red vinyl. It's kind of hard to tell, actually. This is the back, so there's really not much in the description, and song titles aren't on the label or the outside. But it's oh, I'm sorry. This says clear pink splatter. So yeah, Brat. I don't know if this is. It's a gatefold. I don't know if this is a double record or not. Hard to tell. Um, by the price, you might think yes, but I don't know. All right, but she did some great kind of alternative pop type records during the pandemic, and she's a little edgier than like some of the other like more safer kind of pop songstresses. So there's some jazz stuff out this week of note, jazz new releases, reissues that I need to mention. Kenny Burrell and John Coltrane. This is the OJC Original Jazz Classics version of the album that they did together, Kenny Burrell and John Coltrane. This is actually mastered by Matthew Lutons at Coherent Audio, so not Kevin Gray, but same location, probably done on the same machine, I would guess. I think he's like maybe Kevin Gray's protege. Anyway, I'm sure it sounds great. They've done a really great job with everything on this OJC label so far in the reissue department. A couple of Blue Note tone poets this week, and these are interesting because they're not, well, for one thing, they're not gatefolds, and they're kind of outside the sort of regular realm of Blue Note. But this one, Kenny Dorham, Into Something, and it's Kenny Dorham and Jackie McLean, actually, and with Walter Bishop Jr., Leroy Vinegar, and Art Taylor. It's on the Pacific Jazz label, recorded in San Francisco at the Jazz Workshop. What year? What year? I don't know if it says, actually. Probably says here in the text somewhere. But I don't know. Kenny Dorham has a definite fan following, so this could be of interest. So I think it's sort of like not so easy to find. Another one that I've never seen before and very difficult to find on the Transition label. This is Doug Watkins, Watkins at Large, and this features him with Hank Mobley, Donald Byrd, Kenny Burrell, Duke Jordan, and Art Taylor, and it says in live concert fidelity. So again, this is one of those transition ones like the recent Donald Byrd that came out. So there's nothing on the back. There's probably I think there's a booklet inside that describes what what's going on with the label or with the tracks here. This one was mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. I believe the other one was too. Yeah, this one was as well. So, um, yeah. Usually, Kevin Gray does most all of it. So, what a great mastering job he does. All right, now this one we're back to Matthew Luthans here, or Luthans. This one was mastered at the Mastering Lab by QRP, but this one is John Lee Hooker, and it's called the album Burning Hell. Burning Hell. And yeah, this, I think it's been out in different sorts of like pressings, but this one is I don't know, this label is sort of an offshoot of Craft Recordings, and they do a really good job. They're like the Craft Recordings of the blues world, and they only have a few releases so far, but this one is on Riverside, did it originally. Features Burning Hell, Graveyard Blues, Baby Please Don't Go, Smokestack Lightning, Natchez Fire, I Rolled and Turned and Cried the Whole Night Long, and I Don't Want No Woman If Her Hair Ain't No Longer Than Mine. Great song titles. Anyway, probably one of the top artists in the blues genre ever. All right, and a couple more jazz. You're gonna get bored with jazz. There've been some weeks recently where there was hardly any jazz. We get from the Verve by Request series, Alice Coltrane, and a Monastic Trio is the name of this record. This music is dedicated to the mystic, I don't want to say that, known as John Coltrane during the period from September 23rd, 1926 to July 17th, 1967. This was released literally just like right after John died, and Alice was married to John, and so this album came out, and it was kind of meditative and spiritual. She does a lot of very sort of like kind of out there improvising. Not it didn't apparently get great reviews on its first release, but over time it became highly praised as like a really interesting record for her. Personal, very personal. And another one on the Verve by Request series, Charlie Hayden, The Golden Number. And Charlie had a fairly significant recording career on his own, but he also contributed to so many other artists' albums. This one features duets with Don Cherry, Ornette Coleman, Hampton Hawes, and Archie Shepp. So what an interesting group of people there. And it says on the back, when I was in France, I was told a story about musicians whose music never had too many beats or too many intervals, but this music is perfect and being performed today. An excerpt from Ornette Coleman's notes. So anyway, Charlie Hayden. So there's a significant amount of jazz there this week. And then we get a really interesting rock reissue, and the packaging is very quirky. The Cure, Japanese Whispers, the singles, and this is you see all the babies. This is a release that was done in 1982-83 was when it was sort of recorded, and so this is a 40th anniversary, a little more than 40. Remastered by Robert Smith. Features the singles The Walk, Let's Go to Bed, and The Love Cats. And so there's 8 tracks on here, and this is also the first time it's been on clear vinyl. This is really interesting because the cover is you can't really see it. It doesn't read very well, but it's not a typical paper cover. It's very thin. It's almost like an overlay, really. I don't know, maybe you can see it sort of on the top there, but it's very thin, almost like plastic, and then the record inside. So it's a very kind of fragile, delicate sort of cover. It's not cheap. It's actually rather expensive. And then 8 tracks, like I said, This one, so Let's Go to Bed was a pretty big MTV staple type song in the early days of MTV, and it was kind of a poppy song. Not like the Cure didn't do poppy because they did with stuff like Boys Don't Cry, but it was more keyboard synthesizer based. Robert had sort of dismissed the band, but it was him and Lowell Tolhurst, really a duo. And so they did 6 tracks for this. Well, what was originally the Walk EP. The Walk was the title song from that and was also a single. And so this features the 6 songs from the Walk EP and then 2 more additional songs, which were the Love Cats single with one of its flip side songs, Speak My Language. So it's kind of a hodgepodge, it's a little bit more of a collection than a singles, and not really an album. It's sort of like the Cure's Magical Mystery Tour, in the sense that it was not ever really released. This was not the first way it came out in England, but they had sort of gained some ground in America, and it was those tracks were sort of put together as an album. It I don't know if it necessarily goes together because the Walk EP has a certain sound to it. It's very synthesizery, and Love Cats and Speak My Language are more like kind of goofy jazzy kind of sounding with lots of piano and upright bass, and but it kind of goes with the Cure, and they're sort of like always changing whatever the overall sound is. So okay, we get 3 Jimmy Buffett reissues this week, and so there's going to be this new campaign of really trying to kind of preserve his career a little bit more. Some of his albums were never on vinyl. This one was one of them. Jimmy Buffett's Fruitcakes. This is the one that features Uncle John's band. And so finally on vinyl for the first time, newly remastered. Another Jimmy Buffett. Now this one had been on vinyl before, but for the first time in decades, and this one is also newly remastered, it says. Features the hit singles Brown Eyed Girl and the fan favorite title track, which is One Particular Harbor. And this one's sort of a famous record. It did pretty well for him. And then the third one this week is Living and Dying in 3/4 Time. And this is another one that sometimes I'll have used copies of this. Features the hit single Come Monday and fan favorites Pencil Thin Mustache and The Wino and I Know. Back on vinyl for the first time in decades, newly remastered. Ooh, they're good. Don't get in the water. So, yeah, there are actually more of his records coming soon. Can't remember what the next group features, but there's, again, it's like the next one, I think there's 2 that have been out before and then one that's not been out before. Maybe Banana Wind is one, I think. I can't remember what the others are. Another reissue. There's a lot of reissues this week. The Pretenders, Learning to Crawl. This is featured on crystal clear vinyl, and this is their 2018 Chris Thomas remaster. This is like probably my favorite Pretenders album, although I think the first one is kind of like the other contender. They've had some really great albums, including the last couple. I think were both really fantastic, but the band has changed so much, and at times Martin is with them and without. I mean, he's the drummer. These 2 guys, I can't remember their names, but they replaced the first 2 side guys that both died in drug overdoses before this album came out. So it was really Chrissie Hynde and sort of a rotating cast of people all the time, but this was one of their strongest albums, I think, or one of her strongest, and featured the hits Middle of the Road and Back on the Chain Gang. Also featured 2,000 Miles, which is a great Christmas song, and that was a hit in England. And Show Me's on here, which is great. My City Was Gone, and Thin Line Between Love and Hate. So a couple of covers, but anyway, Great album, a good one to be back on the shelves. New records. There's a few this week, like new albums from older people. Bon Jovi and his return, Forever. Not with Richie Sambora, but produced by John Shanks and Bon Jovi. So I think at this point you sort of know what you're getting with Bon Jovi, that I don't really have to describe it too much. Strand of Oaks, his new album Miracle Focus. So this is on limited edition Infinity Blossom yellow vinyl. I don't know if there was a sticker. Bon Jovi doesn't tell you what color it is. This one, Miracle Focus, is a love letter to bliss, acknowledging and celebrating this complex, beautiful moment that we all get to share. Throw in a healthy mix of Ram Dass, yoga, Freddie Mercury, Alice Coltrane, and the Beastie Boys, and the result is fun, wild, rhythmic music filled with synth layering and mantra-like lyrics intended to uplift and hopefully bring some light to whoever listens. Sending peace and love, Tim. Well, I've really liked his last couple records. He worked with My Morning Jacket on those a little bit. This one, it looks like he's kind of really embraced like a hippie sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe the picture on the back sort of describes it, but great writer, great songs. I have to hear this. I have not heard it yet. So anyway, another great writer with great songs that has been around forever. The man called Eels with his new album Time, and it's Eels Time actually is what it's called. And this is 10 new songs, 11 songs, 12 songs. New songs from the Eels. Mark has been doing this for like 30 years. It looks like his beard keeps getting longer. Longer and wider. All right. Anderson .Paak and Knowledge forming the band. I guess they go by No Worries. And the album's called Why Laud. So Anderson .Paak you might recognize as half of the thing with Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic. So he's kind of with that. He's more like a 70s lounge kind of R&B singer, instrumentalist. This, I don't know. I feel like this is probably more of a hip hop record. Knowledge is sort of like a hip hop producer, and yeah, it's written with an X, KNXWLEDGE. Anyway, Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. Another new album this week, Man, and this is the Loser Edition, limited first pressing on color vinyl. And this one is what's it called here? Carrot on Strings. Man hasn't had a record, I don't think, in 7-8 years, maybe. It's been a while. So check that out if you're into Man. I should say that the No Worries is on Smoke and Gold and Blue vinyl. Most of these have some sort of color vinyl with them because they're the indie store exclusives, right? You buy them at an indie store, you get like a cooler looking record usually. Pedro the Lion, and continuing the series of California cities, Santa Cruz, and this one is on Pine Forest Green vinyl. Even in Bazan's most righteous anger, empathy seeps through. David Bazan, I think that's how you say that. As I said Bazan, but it's maybe Bazan. Anyway, new Pedro the Lion, still cranking them out. Peggy Gou, I think that's how you say that. Her new album, I Hear You. This is a debut album, limited edition blue vinyl on the XL Recordings label. She has a guest appearance from Lenny Kravitz on this album. Getting a lot of critical buzz and praise. I don't know what she sounds like at all. I'll have to check it out. Maybe like some kind of neo-soul-y type thing. I don't really know. She's an enigma to me. It's her debut. Give me a break. A band that's been around for forever. Testament, their new album, Titans of Creation, and I mean, I don't know, what can I say about Testament that hasn't been said. Black vinyl, and they've been around for like 40 years at least, I think. So anyway, 12 songs. 12 songs of New Testament. Oh, this came out on CD a while ago, and finally the vinyl. And this is limited edition red, gold, and green vinyl. Probably just his first pressing, featuring a brand new recording of Bob Marley's "One Love." And this is a Junior Marvin's new record, "Happy Family." That's kind of a cool red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green album. Let's see. His story was sort of featured a little bit in the Bob Marley biopic. Let's see. And another reggae artist, this is a reissue, Israel Vibration. And I love that cover. This is first LP reissue of the 1988 Roots Reggae Classic, featuring the backing band, the Roots Radix. And this is on Real Gone Records. And it was on Ross. All right. Another reissue. A lot of these. Tina Turner. And this one's called Simply the Best. It's been out before on black vinyl, but now this is out on a 2LP blue vinyl, which is kind of a nice thing to do. This has a great track listing overall, like covering her whole career, but mainly like focusing on the big sort of 80s comeback with The Best, What's Love Got to Do with It, Let's Stay Together, Steamy Windows, Typical Male, We Don't Need Another Hero, Private Dancer, Better Be Good to Me. Then some older stuff too, like Nutbush, which is a 90s version, River Deep Mountain High, It Takes Two, a duet with Rod Stewart, her cover of Addicted to Love, done live, and also I Don't Want to Lose You, which was sort of her big, one of her big hits of that era too. So, pretty cool collection from Tina. R.I.P. The Smoking Popes. It's another reissue, sort of 90s rock, and a 1994 classic featuring Need You Around. Morrissey gets a quote on the label, says, "Extraordinary, the most lovable thing I've heard in years." Pink and white sunburn vinyl pressing. So you don't see Smoking Popes every day. Let's see. I think this was probably their biggest selling record, and it sold modestly. They've had maybe like 7 albums, I think, in like 30 years. They're around. Slightly Stupid, Everything You Need. This is also a reissue. What year did this come out? I want to say early 2000s. Maybe it's late 90s. 2003, 4 on Surf Dog Records. I guess they kind of appeal to like fans of like that sort of sublime category of artists. But this was sort of a modest radio hit too. Didn't have a big hit, but they definitely have core fans that are very loyal. Casey and the Sunshine Band. This is part of that Now Playing series that Rhino's been doing, and this is on Glitterball clear vinyl. All right, so Glitterball, is it like mirrored? I don't know. But this is a really good collection for just like the average KC fan. If you want some of these songs, Get Down Tonight, That's the Way I Like It, Shake, Shake, Shake Your Booty, Queen of Clubs, I Like to Do It, I'm Your Boogeyman, Keep It Comin' Love, Boogie Shoes, Do You Want to Go Party, and Please Don't Go. So it really has most of the hits that you would sort of want from KC, at least KC and the Sunshine Band. There are 3 Dwight Yoakam albums being reissued this week. Record Store Day, there was a box set, so they've broken them out and putting some of them out I think there were maybe 4 records in that set, but so the first one is Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc. on light blue vinyl. You get Hillbilly Deluxe on clear vinyl, and you get Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room, and that one is on ruby colored vinyl. So 3 Dwight Yoakam separate. Knock yourself out if you like Dwight Yoakam. It's a good opportunity to get them. I think these are Rhino. Yeah, Rhino was involved in repressing those, so they can do that. All right. One thing I should have mentioned earlier that is actually coming out on vinyl as well, and I just don't have it to show right now, but I'm really excited about it so that people can hear it again, is Robert Hunter's Tales of the Great Rum Runners. And this is a Grateful Dead offshoot. He was the guy that wrote most of the lyrics for some of their biggest early songs like Dark Star and China. What is the name? China's escaping me right now. But Robert was kind of a songwriter who then never joined the Grateful Dead as an artist. But this album, he had it was his 1974 debut, and a lot of the people from the Dead came over and recorded with him. So this is the original album remastered from the original analog tapes and a bonus disc of unreleased alternate versions and mixes, done on the Plangent process with the tape restoration and speed correction, and mastered by Grammy award-winning engineer David Glasser. So Tales of the Great Rum Runners, Robert Hunter. This actually features performances. The band is Jerry Garcia, Keith and Donna, Mickey Hart, and then Barry Melton from Country Joe and the Fish, David Freeberg from Quicksilver Messenger and Jefferson Starship, and Buddy Cage from New Riders of the Purple Sage plays steel guitar on it. So this might be of major interest for Dead fans, because that's been an album that you really just don't see very often at all. A couple of other things that these are kind of reissue of new hip-hop records. Well, they aren't really reissues. It's just taken a little while to get them on CD, and supposedly they're coming on vinyl soon. But Future and Metro Boomin', We Don't Trust You, and the same as what's this one? Oh, We Still Don't Trust You. So We Don't Trust You, We Still Don't Trust You. Future and Metro Boomin, big hip-hop artists. Sarah Evans, big country artist. She was gone for a while, sort of made some returns. This one's called Unbroke. So if you're a Sarah fan, Bonnie Light Horseman. And this features Anais Mitchell, along with Eric Johnson and Josh Kaufman. And Keep Me in Your Mind is the name of it. Anais is a great singer-songwriter. She's even had some sort of Broadway type things that she's written. Beings. This is kind of an interesting collaboration. This is Zoe Amba, Shahad Ismaili, Steve Gunn, and Jim White. A lot of people around here probably know Steve Gunn is sort of a Philly singer-songwriter, and Jim White has been a great singer-songwriter for decades. And then the other two people I know less about, but it's interesting, the sort of mix of people. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear this. So Beings is the name of that sort of summer supergroup. A mini supergroup. This is an interesting combo too. Skeeter Davis and NRBQ, and this is called She Sings, They Play, and this is a reissue. Their classic 1985 collaboration, now expanded with 6 previously unissued bonus tracks. So if you've been looking for that, that's an album that I think is sort of hard to find also. Pardon my allergies, are really raging today. Cactus, Temple of Blues, And so Cactus still doing a thing. I think there's only one original member at this point. I'm not sure, but Influences and Friends is the name of that. And they do Long Tall Sally. Yeah. A couple other CDs here. John Mayall, and this one's called Roadshow Blues, and 9 tracks. And finally, Genesis reissue their self-titled CD, and this one's Genesis featuring Mama, That's All. Unfortunately, Illegal Alien, taking it all too hard. The rest of the album is really good. Okay, and I didn't have one thing I wanted to show you was the new Richard Thompson, which is finally arriving today, supposedly. So that will be another thing I'll have to show you next week, but it should be here. And one thing I don't have to show, and I don't know if they've gotten them yet, is the, and I showed it in one video, and then they sort of pulled it and said, no, you can't sell that until June 7th, was the Robin Trower Bridge of Sighs Deluxe. So I have no idea. It's kind of in limbo. I hope it's on the way quickly. If I see them pop up, I'll get them like sent like next day or something like that. But that actually a box set, sort of on CD, and then a double vinyl with a bonus concert. A lot of people who like Robin Trower like love that album and want the expanded Bridge of Sighs. So that we'll keep waiting on. I have no idea what the issue is. They just got caught off guard by the demand and didn't make enough is my guess. But anyway, so with that, I'm actually not, I don't have a recommends today, or a wasn't going to go through a bunch of new releases because I've been told the videos are long enough. You don't need to. So I've given a lot of recommends, probably at least 50 or so now. So I don't know. Here's something I'll recommend. Go get, if you like shoegaze, go listen to the new Dive. It's very good, and it kind of reminds me of like slower My Bloody Valentine, maybe a little less distortion, but kind of a good summer hazy. If you're into like a lot of pedal effects and real dreamy woozy singing, it's a good record. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great week. I'll see you next week. Next week, June 14th. That's the Paul McCartney and Wings. The one hand clapping, the David Bowie Ziggy box and deluxe. Jerry Garcia Live, Little Feat reissue. Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs. Yeah. So see you next time. Thanks. Have a great summer. Be safe. Congratulations, graduates. You did it.